Drivers are frustrated, and for good reason. Car tariffs are back, and the reality is they're already raising costs across the board. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how they're affecting you and what you can do about it. But first, subscribe if you want to stay ahead of the hikes and learn how to push back before it's too late. Reality number 1. New cars will cost more, even the American ones. Car companies love waving the stars and stripes when they want to sell you a pickup, but here's the truth. Most American-made vehicles are global jigsaw puzzles. The Ford F-150, assembled in the U.S., sure, but it might have a transmission from Mexico, electronics from South Korea, and sensors from Germany. The same goes for GM, Chrysler, and even Tesla. Nobody builds a car alone anymore. And that's exactly where these new tariffs strike. They don't just tax complete vehicles, they target imported parts. So if Ford needs to pay more for the chips, brakes, or suspension components they buy from overseas, that cost gets baked into the sticker price. Fast. Even base model sedans and budget SUVs aren't safe. If it rolls, honks, charges, or cools your butt in summer, odds are something inside it came from outside the U.S. And don't think EVs get a free pass either. Many rely on batteries, chips, or rare earth materials from China or Southeast Asia, two regions sitting squarely in the tariff crosshairs. Even something as small as a wiring harness or a plastic sensor clip can trigger a price hike when it's suddenly taxed at 25%. Worse yet, manufacturers often raise prices before the tariffs even take effect. They adjust MSRPs preemptively to soften the blow for shareholders. That's why you might see sticker prices jump weeks or months before anything officially changes. Welcome to inflation's shady cousin, anticipation pricing. And once those higher MSRPs hit, they tend to stick around. Automakers rarely walk prices back unless demand absolutely tanks. The new normal becomes, well, normal. So what are your options now? If you're even thinking about buying a new car, the clock is ticking. Don't wait 6 months to see what happens. By then, every dealer will have adjusted pricing and discounts will dry up. Start by checking models with fewer imported parts. Vehicles built primarily in North America often feel the tariff sting a little less. Use tools like Cars.com or Auto Trader to track local inventory and pricing trends in real time. And when you hit the dealership, negotiate like it's your job. They know what's coming too. And many are eager to clear inventory before tariffs mess with their margins. Ask about financing promos, hidden incentives, end-of-quarter deals, and trade-in boosts. Even shaving $500 to $1,000 off the price could cancel out part of the future tariff impact and save you from paying tomorrow's prices today. Reality number 2. Used car prices are going up also. Here's the problem with trying to dodge new car price hikes by shopping used. You're not the only one with that idea. When new cars get more expensive, demand for used cars skyrockets. It's a domino effect, and the used market starts heating up fast. That base model Civic you were ignoring last year? Now it's got 3 offers and a bidding war on Facebook Marketplace. Tariffs on new vehicle components don't just impact new car buyers, they cause ripple effects across the entire market. Why? Because people who would have bought new are now hunting for something just a few years old. That shift puts enormous pressure on the used inventory, especially for reliable, fuel-efficient, or budget-friendly models. And dealers know this. Once new car prices go up, used car prices follow like a shadow. They raise trade-in values slightly, but jack up resale prices a lot. They know people are desperate to avoid the bigger hit. So even a 7-year-old Toyota Corolla with 110,000 miles starts looking like gold to someone priced out of the new car market. What makes it worse is that lease returns are slowing down too. High interest rates and pricing uncertainty have fewer people leasing new vehicles, which means fewer clean 3-year-old trade-ins hitting dealer lots. That tightens the supply even further. And while you might think you can wait this out, used car prices take a long time to come back down, if they ever do. When demand spikes and inventory dries up, prices hold their ground. So what can you do to stay ahead? First, if you're sitting on a vehicle with decent mileage and good condition, now is the time to sell. Prices are already rising, and you may get top dollar from a private buyer or a dealer trying to restock inventory. If you're planning to buy used, go private if you can. Private party sales aren't immune to pricing pressure, but they don't have dealer markup baked in. That alone can save you hundreds, sometimes thousands. And avoid emotion buying. Don't fall in love with a car and pay the asking price just to lock it in. Check comps on Car Gurus or Auto Tempest. Sort by price drops. And don't hesitate to walk away if a seller is being unrealistic. Also, expand your search radius. Look 100 to 200 miles outside your city. Sometimes prices are significantly better just one state over, especially in rural areas where demand isn't as intense. And finally, if you're trading something in, get quotes from at least 3 dealers and use them against each other. Some are willing to outbid competitors if they're short on stock. Turn the shortage to your advantage. Used cars used to be the cheaper option, and they still can be. But with tariffs driving demand upward, you need to be twice as sharp and 3 times more patient than you were before. Reality number 3. Repair costs are about to get ugly. Think tariffs only hit you when you buy a car? Think again. Even if you plan to drive your current ride into the ground, tariffs have a nasty way of sneaking into your wallet, one repair invoice at a time. Because most modern vehicles are loaded with imported parts, and that includes stuff that breaks. We're not just talking high-end components here. Basic repairs like bumpers, brake rotors, exhaust parts, or sensors often rely on foreign-made materials. And when a 25% tariff kicks in, that cost gets passed to you faster than you can ask. Wait, how much for that oil pan? Mechanics don't eat the difference. Shops raise rates to cover their increased costs, and they'll usually mark it up a little more while they're at it. After all, customers don't question a $100 increase if the car still drives off the lot afterward. And it's not just foreign brands feeling the heat. Even domestic vehicles like Chevrolet, Ford, or Dodge have global supply chains. That sensor that makes your backup camera work, it might be from Malaysia. The ABS module that saved your life last winter could be from Japan. And then there's labor. As parts get more expensive and harder to source, the repair timeline drags, which means more shop hours, more labor charges, and more rental days if your car's stuck in the bay. So how do you avoid getting wrecked by repair costs? If your car's been making a noise you've been pretending not to hear, now is the time to get it checked out. Small problems get more expensive the longer you wait, and the longer you wait, the more likely it is that the part you need costs more than it did yesterday. Second, build a relationship with an independent mechanic now. Someone you trust who's not upselling you like a dealership service bay with a yacht to finance. Local shops often have more flexibility sourcing parts, and they're less likely to hit you with surprise tariff offset charges. And if you have a newer vehicle that's out of warranty, check to see if extended coverage plans still exist before prices go up. Warranty providers adjust their pricing based on projected costs, and when repair prices rise across the board, your monthly premium will too. Finally, don't skip scheduled maintenance. A cheap fluid change today can save you a multi-$1,000 transmission repair tomorrow. Tariffs may be political, but the pain they cause is personal, and the repair shop is where it hits next. Reality number 4. Insurance premiums will rise quietly. Tariffs might not show up on your insurance bill with a line item that says, "Congrats, you're paying more because of imported brake sensors." But make no mistake, they're in there. Insurance companies track average repair costs across makes and models. And when those costs rise, so do your premiums. It's subtle, slow, and easy to miss. Until suddenly, your 6-month renewal shows up with a $40 increase and no real explanation. It doesn't even matter if you didn't file a claim. If your car's parts became more expensive to replace, your risk profile went up. Boom! Higher rates. And that's not just speculation. In recent years, rising parts costs have been one of the top reasons cited for insurance premium hikes, especially for newer vehicles packed with tech. And here's where it gets sneakier. Cars with more advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, are more expensive to repair. And those systems often rely on imported parts. We're talking radar sensors, blind spot monitors, parking assist cameras, all of which can be affected by tariffs. A simple fender bender that once cost $800 could now cost $2,000 because your bumper is hiding a $500 imported sensor and a recalibration service. And you know who notices that before you do? Your insurer. Here are a few smart moves to help you stay ahead of those premium hikes. First, shop around before your policy renews. Most people just auto-renew out of habit, and that's exactly what insurance companies want. Sites like Policy Genius, The Zebra, or Compare.com let you pull multiple quotes in minutes. You might be shocked how much prices vary for the same coverage. Second, ask your insurer directly how imported parts affect your specific vehicle. You'd be surprised how open some reps are when you phrase the question that way. If your car is loaded with tariff-sensitive parts, you may want to tweak your coverage, or even consider switching vehicles while trade-in values are still high. Also, raise your deductible if you can afford the risk. A higher deductible often lowers your premium significantly, and it may offset any inflation caused by the market shifts. It's not for everyone, but it's worth running the math. Finally, if you've made recent changes, new address, shorter commute, car parked in a garage, make sure those updates are reflected in your policy. Tariffs might raise prices, but little tweaks on your end can help bring them back down. Insurance pricing is a moving target, but with a few smart questions and a willingness to shop around, you don't have to take every premium increase lying down. Reality number 5. DIY fixes won't save you. YouTube can teach you how to change your spark plugs, clean a throttle body, or replace a headlight bulb. But it can't do much when the part you need just doubled in price or disappeared altogether. That's the hidden punch of these new tariffs. They're not just driving up the cost of dealership repairs, they're squeezing the DIY crowd too. Especially if you order your parts online from sellers that source components overseas. Even common parts, oil filters, brake pads, coil packs, oxygen sensors often come from global suppliers. And when those imports get hit with a tariff, prices spike. And not gradually. It's not maybe a few bucks more. It's how is this cabin air filter now $39? And depending on the car you drive, it could get worse. Hyundai, Kia, Subaru, Toyota, even though these brands are popular in the US, many of their parts still come from Asia. If you're driving something with lower domestic support, you could find your favorite go-to part seller out of stock or charging double in the next few months. And let's not forget shipping delays. Some platforms already show 2 to 4 week wait times on imported items. Add in tariffs, rerouted shipments, and tighter supply, and you might be looking at back orders stretching into months. Here are a few ways to protect yourself if you prefer to turn your own wrenches. First, stock up now. Seriously, make a list of everything you know you'll need in the next 6 to 12 months. Filters, fluids, belts, bulbs, wipers, and order it while pricing is still semi-normal. Second, don't assume Rock Auto or Amazon is your cheapest option anymore. Start checking with local parts stores, even if they usually cost more. If tariffs create online price jumps, in-store inventory might hold steady longer. Third, consider swapping to aftermarket brands with domestic manufacturing. Some lesser-known suppliers may avoid tariff hikes entirely, and the quality is often just as good, if not better, than big OEM names. And finally, lean into the DIY forums. If one seller's out of stock, somebody on a Honda, Toyota, or Ford forum probably knows where to find a workaround. Tariffs create gaps. Communities often fill them faster than retailers do. If you're a DIYer, don't wait for the squeeze to hit, because by the time you feel it, your parts bin might already be empty. Reality number 6. EV owners are in the crosshairs. If you thought driving electric was a way to avoid all this tariff chaos, think again. Electric vehicles are some of the most tariff-sensitive cars on the road, not because they're luxury items, but because they're built like rolling smartphones. Under the hood, batteries, circuit boards, rare earth magnets, sensors, chips, and a whole lot of materials that don't come from the US. Many of those components are imported from countries like China, South Korea, and Japan, all of which are under heavy scrutiny in this new round of tariff proposals. And that means the cost of building an EV just got a lot more complicated and a lot more expensive. It's not just the battery packs either. Tesla's camera modules, Ford's Blue Cruise radar units, even Hyundai's onboard charging tech. Much of it includes imported circuitry or micro-components you can't just swap out with something local. And if you already own an EV, you're not off the hook. Once these tariffs roll through, repairing electric vehicles becomes a nightmare, especially if your warranty is expired. Something as simple as a damaged sensor or a faulty inverter could now cost 30 to 50% more to fix. On top of that, parts availability could drop. Some suppliers may reduce exports or raise prices in anticipation of reduced demand. That means more vehicles sitting in service centers for weeks, waiting on components that used to be overnight deliveries. Here are some smart ways to stay out of the crosshairs if you own or plan to buy an electric vehicle. If you're buying soon, look for brands that build and source domestically. Tesla assembles in the US, yes, but dig deeper. Check where their batteries and motors come from, because assembly location is not the same as parts origin. Some Ford EVs and GM Ultium vehicles are increasingly US-built too, which may reduce long-term exposure to tariffs. If you already own an EV, this might be the time to look into extended warranties or prepaid maintenance plans, while the pricing is still based on current repair costs. Warranty providers adjust fast when their replacement cost models spike. You should also keep your software updated. Some EV faults are fixable via OTA updates, which might save you a trip to the service center entirely. And finally, don't ignore the little stuff. That small warning light, that one glitchy sensor, that slight drop in range, get it looked at now, before the cost of fixing it shoots up with the parts it depends on. Owning an EV was supposed to mean fewer headaches, but with tariffs in the mix, that promise just got a whole lot shakier. Reality number 7. Another round of part shortages is coming. You remember the chip shortage, right? That painful stretch where dealerships had 2 cars on the lot, used car prices went nuclear, and everyone suddenly cared deeply about semiconductors? Yeah, we're heading back in that direction. Only this time, it's not just chips. Tariffs create friction in the supply chain, and friction leads to delays, bottlenecks, and worst of all, shortages. When parts become more expensive to import, suppliers slow down shipments. Some pull back entirely, others look for ways to cut corners, switch sources, or hold inventory until pricing stabilizes. That creates gaps, and in the car world, even small gaps cause chaos. Body panels, headlights, catalytic converters, brake calipers, radiators. It doesn't take long for any of these to become the next chip shortage when demand stays high but supply gets squeezed. And here's the kicker. Some parts are already running thin. In early 2024, multiple U.S. shops reported back orders on AC compressors, fuel pumps, and adaptive headlight units. Tariffs could turn that slow drip into a full-on dry spell. It's not just about repairs either. Collision centers are already seeing delays. If you get rear-ended and your bumper has a built-in sensor that's imported from Asia, you might be waiting 3 weeks or 3 months. Here's how to avoid being stranded when the shelves start looking bare. First, take a hard look at your vehicle's weak spots. Is your battery creeping past the 4-year mark? Are your tires cracking, your brakes squeaking, your serpentine belt looking like a frayed shoelace? Replace it now, before you're competing with 1,000 other people waiting for the same part. Second, Don't wait for parts to fail. Preventive maintenance is your best friend in a shortage. If something looks or feels off, don't wait until it breaks. Order the part now while it's available, and before it's 30% more expensive. And if you do need a shop, call ahead. Ask about part availability before you even book the appointment. Some shops are honest about delays. Others won't mention it until your car's already on the lift. Tariffs don't just make parts more expensive, they make them harder to get. And once the shelves are empty, it's not the dealer or the supplier who suffers, it's you. Reality number 8. Dealerships will sneak in extra fees. If there's one place that never misses an opportunity to quietly charge you more, it's the dealership service department. As tariffs push up parts prices, don't expect dealers to just eat the difference. Instead, they'll slip the extra cost into all kinds of creative charges, and half the time, you won't even notice. You might see something called a tariff recovery fee, parts handling surcharge, or supply chain adjustment. Sound vague? That's on purpose. These aren't line items with a standard rate. They're just soft padding designed to help the dealer maintain their profit margin. And it doesn't stop at parts. Labor rates are going up too. Because when parts are more expensive or harder to get, it takes longer to finish the job. More time on the lift equals more money from you. It's not personal, it's just business. Shady business. But still. Even routine services are getting padded. That $49.99 oil change from 2021, now it's $89.99 with a premium blend upgrade you didn't ask for, and a mystery shop supply fee that somehow costs $17. Dealerships know most customers won't question it, especially if the car gets fixed and the invoice looks about right. But added up over time, these fees become death by 1,000 cuts. Here's how to protect yourself from dealership fee creep. Start by asking for an itemized estimate before any work begins, not after. Make sure every charge has a clear explanation. If they can't justify it in plain English, push back or walk away. Second, compare service prices at independent shops before committing. Many small mechanics are already cheaper on labor, and some will price match on parts if you bring them in yourself. Third, build a price history. Keep copies of past service invoices so you know what you paid for similar work a year or two ago. If the same brake job suddenly costs $240 more, you'll spot the creep instantly. And finally, don't be afraid to say no. Just because a service advisor says you're due for this doesn't mean it's urgent, especially when tariff-inflated prices are in play. Dealerships are counting on you being too busy or too polite to notice. But now you know what to look for, and that makes you dangerous. Reality number 9. Most people won't see it coming. Here's the thing about tariffs. They're invisible. You're not going to get a bill that says $327 in extra fees due to international trade conflict. You won't see a blinking light on your dash that says, "Caution, policy change ahead." It just happens, quietly, slowly, then all at once. Your next repair might cost $150 more than it did last year. Your insurance might renew with a 12% increase. That used car you've had your eye on suddenly jumps $3,000, and the dealer shrugs like it's normal. And because nobody actually says the word tariff out loud during the process, most people won't connect the dots. That's what makes it so dangerous. You'll see wait lists grow, discounts disappear, dealer fees sneak up, repair shops take longer. People will assume, oh, it's just inflation, or that's just how the market is now. But behind the scenes, it's all tied to the added cost and friction of imported parts. And if you wait until it's obvious, it'll be too late to do anything about it. Here's how you stay ahead of the crowd and avoid getting blindsided. First off, you're already doing the most important thing, paying attention. Most people don't even know tariffs are back on the table. That alone gives you a massive advantage. Second, talk about it. Tell your friends, your family, your carpool crew. anyone who drives. Not in a doomsday way, but just enough to say, hey, repairs might get pricier soon. Might be a good time to take care of that check engine light. Third, act while things are still normal. You don't want to rush repairs, shop for cars, or change insurance after prices surge. That's when everyone else is doing it too, and options start to vanish. And finally, keep watching. Follow channels that break this stuff down. Stay plugged in. When prices rise slowly, awareness is your greatest weapon. The people who get hurt the most by tariffs, they're not the ones with the most expensive cars. They're the ones who never saw it coming. The auto market was already chaotic, and now we're tossing tariffs into the blender, but this time you've got the playbook. You know what's coming, how it affects you, and how to stay a step ahead. If this breakdown helped you out, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want real-world car tips without the fluff, and in the comments, let us know how car costs are hitting you right now. Repairs, insurance, buying, whatever. You're not alone out there. Until next time, drive smart, stay sharp, and share this before someone you know gets blindsided.